So that was the end for the SOFTin Space 2023 startup pitching session. Now if we can have the chairs for the panelists and for our moderator, because now we enter the last panel of the event. And the last panel's main topic, is the latest enabling technologies for digitalization. This topic will cover the latest technological advancements that are driving digitalization of financial services and how they're changing the way we bank and transact. And for this great panel, I would like to invite our dear moderator, an expert in this field, Karnika Yashwant, founder of Key Difference Media and Utopian Capital. Great to have you. I think it will be an exciting panel, and we're lucky to have you as our moderator. So, it's a big panel. So, if we could have you right in the middle, and I'll be inviting our dear panelists for it. Ahmet Fadıl, Program Manager for IBM Hyper Protect Accelerator at Village Capital. In SOFTin Space, things are happening the opposite way. Near to the end, there's more energy. So that means the event has been a good success for everyone. Now, Michael Regan, Product Marketing Director at GRG. A big round of applause for dear Michael Regan. Dr. Shaher Abbas, founder and CEO at IFIN. And now, Bassem Garsali, Vice President and Country Manager for Northwest Africa at MasterCard. Our fifth panelist is Adel Galbon from the North African Bank CBC Upgrade Project Manager. Great to have you. And finally, Ömer Emeç from Al Baraka Türk Bank, Assistant General Manager for Strategy and Transformation. Great to have you with us, sir. Please take a seat. And the floor is yours.
Perfect. This is the last panel of the day, but this is about the future, which is what's going to make this more exciting, because we are going to address what is happening right now as a trend and where is this going to go towards. But before we dive in on all the jargons of AI, blockchain, Web3, metaverses, and whatnot, let us quickly have a very short brief about every member here. It's a large panel, so let's make sure we all spend probably 30 seconds to give a quick intro. Why don't we start from the left?
عادل غلبون مدير مشروع تطوير المنظومة المصرفية في مصرف شمال أفريقيا.
Hello everyone, my name is Bassem Garsali, and I'm the Vice President and Country Manager for Northwest Africa at MasterCard. So I'm leading MasterCard overall business across Northern African markets. My job is actually to lead some initiatives around financial inclusion, digital inclusion in some of the of some of the most exciting geographies in the world, North Africa. So I'm happy to be here.
How's it going, everyone? This is Ahmed Fadl, based in Egypt, and I work as the program manager of the IBM Hyperprotect Accelerator at Village Capital, and also a couple of other programs. We have like amazing 9 startups right here, just give presentations, and happy to be here today with you.
Guys, for myself, I'm Key from Dubai. I have been in the blockchain space for the last 10 years. Most part of my life has been in the Web3 world. And I run an accelerator for blockchain companies in Dubai, along with the fund Utopian Capital. Pretty excited to be here to hear the views of everyone.
Hello, everyone. I'm Michael Regan. I'm originally from the United States, but I currently work in GRG as a product marketing director. I mainly specialize in branch transformation solutions and to be a solution provider to banks worldwide in the international department.
السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. معكم الدكتور شاهر عباس. أنا الفاوندر والCEO في شركة IFIN. IFIN is Islamic Finance Initiation Network. We digitalize the entire Islamic financing process end to end, so the customer can apply and obtain finance instantly, either from the website of the bank or from the retailer. فإحنا we create basically the future of Islamic banking. So if you're looking for digitalization or anything, IFIN is the right way to do it.
Hello everyone, I am Ömer Emeç from Al Baraka Türk, Head of Strategy and Transformation, as well Chief Economist of the bank. I am generally responsible for the whole transformation of the bank, from project management to innovation, from business excellence to communication, all part of it. Actually having that kind of, very innovative banking sector in Turkey, it is very exciting to be actually executing that transformation. It is also an honor for me to be here, having chance to actually conveying my ideas. Thank you.
So one of the things I want to do right now, because we have members who are on the infrastructure side, who are on the payment side, the enablers, and so on, it is important for us to understand what enabling technology even means. It could mean different things for different people. So why don't we start with you, and if you can in just one line, just the keywords, highlight what enabling technology means to you and your foresight of the future.
تكلموا بداية عن دور البنية التحتية وتطوير التقنية في تطوير الخدمات المصرفية. طبعا كل المصارف بدت التطوير وتحديث البرمجيات فيها، وتطوير البنية التحتية بدا شيء أساسي وإلزامي للبنوك باش تقدر تنافس وتقدر توفر الخدمات اللي ينتظرها أو يتوقعها عملاء المصرف. البنية التحتية في المصارف بدأت تتطور بشكل كبير. بدينا نلاحظوا أن التطور بدأ تتحول البنوك من بنوك تقليدية إلى بنوك رقمية. بدأت الدفع بدأ يبتعد عن الدفع التقليدي بالكاش وبدأ يتوجه للاي بيمنت والديجيتال والت والبطاقات سواء الانترناشونال ولا اللوكل. بدأ الهدف مش مجرد تقديم خدمات تقليدية، بدأ الهدف في المصارف أنها تقدر تنافس وتقدر تخفض في تكاليفها عن طريق تحسين المنتجات والتحسين المستمر لهذه المنتجات. بدينا نلاحظ أن التطور بدأت البنوك تتجه لكلاود. هذا كله قاعد يرفع من مستوى الخدمات وقاعد يخفض بشكل كبير في التكاليف. بدأت حاليا التقنية هي اللي درايفنج البزنس في البنوك. هذا بدأ شيء واضح جدا، والمستقبل في المصارف ماشي للتطوير. رقمنة المصارف بدأ شيء أساسي وإلزامي وما هوش نوع من الترف. مشان المصارف تقدر تستمر وتقدر تنافس لازم تعمل بشكل وثيق مع شركات التكنولوجيا، ولازم تحافظ على مكانتها ويكون في تكامل كبير جدا بين التقنية وبين البزنس.
Thank you. Let's go with you, but let's try to keep this part a bit shorter so it's easier for us to dive into the details as we progress.
Yeah, sure. So actually what we see is that the convergence of technology, connectivity and data is creating the next wave of financial services and payment services. Actually, it's reshaping the way we are interacting with our customers, and it's creating a new type of experiences. The good thing is that the digital space actually is enabling technology and products to expand and to spread at much higher rate than ever before. Actually, it's simplifying scale. And to give you an example, like, actually it took personal computers almost 14 years to reach 50 million users globally. Then it took the iPhone only 2 years to reach that same level of scale. And for ChatGPT, how long took them to reach 50 million? Less than 2 months. So it gives you kind of how this type of new or emerging technology are scaling at a very speed rate. And actually, there's emerging technology. We can deep dive on those later. Actually, are affecting every single aspects of our lives. We can talk about AI, about 5G, quantum computing, metaverse, and I think all of those actually are kind of creating more and more data. And what we see actually, we are now moving from kind of digital revolution to data revolution, and we can see how now data is shaping every single aspects of the financial services that we are creating, and we can deep dive on those later on the discussion.
So for me, I would define the enablement as creating access to maybe people who do not usually have access. And I'm going to use a few examples from our startups. So for example, if you don't have a smartphone, you have a feature phone, and you want to do money transfer and so on. So what do you do? So for example, Kotani Pay, now they're talking, not focusing on the panel. But Kotani Pay, for example, is through the USSD technology, is facilitating cross-border payments through USSD. And then we also have Purple, for example, who are leveraging ATMs. So if you're abroad, want to send some money inside, you can do this through their application. So in brief, in a nutshell, is creating access to people who do not usually have access. That's the enablement.
That's perfect. Let's go with you.
Yeah, in my opinion, the definition of enabling and using technology is being able to leverage the tools and the technology nowadays to either improve the customer experience for financial institutions or make more revenue through other channels that are not meant to be done traditionally, like venture out into cross-business opportunities with the use of AI and technologies and tools that they can use. So that's how to put it up.
Thanks. For me, when we talk about digitalization in the banking sector, the most difficult part is the finance process. You can digitalize everything else easy. But when you talk about the finance process, there's where it becomes difficult. It's slow, it takes a lot of time and a lot of efforts, and of course it brings the highest money for the bank. When we talk about Islamic finance process, it's even harder and more difficult. When we are able to digitalize the Islamic finance process and build a platform that even doesn't exist in the conventional, this is where we are able to push the Islamic finance entirely in the front of the conventional banking system and allow them. So we are able to reduce the cost, access to more customers, and able to reach out to more communities that did not have the opportunity to get finance before. So this is digitalization, where you can have multiple benefits into one solution.
Yeah, actually, I was also planning to talk about some of that kind of technology regarding connected news regarding that accessibility, but all valuable actually speakers talk about it. So I will be taking some risk regarding to be somehow off topic, but I will be doing that because that's an important part in terms of that digitalization and enabling technology. That is, once we are actually looking at the technology, the promising technology of the yesterday, right now, some of them right now extinct or mediocre, average, but some of it mediocre or average technology right now is very promising and transformationary and revolutionary. What is the kind of that? Actually, that is regarding with the customer experience. The customer experience regarding, especially triggered by COVID-19, customers are asking for that kind of, having that kind of services in any time, frictionless, in anywhere. That is the things. And so for me, the enabling technology, enabling part of this digitalization is coming from customer experience. Technology may change. Actually, metaverse can change tomorrow. The past technology can change tomorrow, but customer experience will be at the heart of that enabling technologies. And so in order to have that kind of the best customer experience, also having a best staff and employee experience also important. So for me, yes, maybe it's somehow not regarding the technology side, but the most enabling part of it regarding customer experience and employee experience.
That's quite beautiful. So the next time I'm going to start with you. So you have the opportunity to speak first on it. If you notice the various insights that were shared, you could see there's a connecting dot there. They're talking about accessibility or the lifestyle of someone and their needs, like customer experience, what they need. Things can come and go as a technology, but it is really about what a particular person or segment of audience needs and their preferences, like in the particular payment systems that you are deploying and so on. So let's take a step back. Let's not just obsess on the emerging technology, but there are certain trends that bring emerging technology. And a good example of that is the change in philosophy of the people in the world. What are they philosophically looking for, and what are they looking for from a lifestyle perspective? After the COVID, people are remote. They're traveling more around the world. They're working from home. Their needs are very different from what it was years ago. And at the same time, the decentralization as a philosophy is spreading more and more. People would like to have control with themselves and would like to have the privacy and freedom as they navigate the world. So if the lifestyle and philosophical choices are driving the emerging technology, it could be metaverse, AI, blockchain, whatever it is, I think it's important to focus on these two aspects in our business and our perspectives to shed the intrinsic motivation that we as a business or we as an individual have towards the emerging technologies. So let's start with you, and if you could touch base on the lifestyle and the philosophy that is driving these emerging technologies and where you see them connect or where you see the impact happen because of these background reasons.
Yeah, actually, that is very great question. Actually, once we look at the technology size, technology dynamics can change very easily, and we are seeing every day technology is changing drastically. And once we are looking at the technology dynamics, it is very easy to somehow buying some technology. If you are putting some money, you will be buying it, or it is very easy to duplicate, benchmark, or innovate. But this kind of innovation, especially should be coming from customer experience and should be coming from your internal culture side. And that is why the important part, somehow looking at the dynamics and how consumer behavior is changing. That is a very important aspect. And especially after the COVID-19, we are seeing that customers are asking for more tailor-made, more engaged, and more specific, let's say, campaigns to them. That is why right now having a campaign for a broad and mass marketing side, I think the importance of that mass marketing is shifting from mass marketing to special and tailored and focused marketing segments. That is why important to have a better analytics, CRM, and somehow touching customers directly in order to understand them. That is why these kind of actually developments is very important, and the important aspects should be somehow frictionless, convenient, and somehow enabling different specification in a one app, like super app. That is very important aspects in terms of digitization and driving factors, I guess.
So if I can summarize, I would say using AI or machine learning to bring that personal experience to the user, and a super app is a matter of comfort, making it easier, accessible, and simple, because nobody wants to relearn anything new, but go with the easier flow. That's perfect. Let's go with you.
Okay, I think there is two types of innovation. You have that standard way of innovation where you react to the customer demand and the needs of the customers. But also there is the exceptional innovation where you come up with something new and people just react very fast to it, right? And then you're changing the behavior and you're changing the consumer, how the consumer look at it. And these are the $1 billion companies that they come up and they change the world really, right? Because you come up with something people actually need, but they didn't know that it actually can be exist. And this is what could technology do that. And we have, very nice examples like iPhone, you mentioned, how it's actually come up and, immediately killed the, the other mobile phones and all the other markets. And we are actually in the financial, if you want, market, which was very stable for the last maybe 40, 50 years, right? Growing in technology, but stable growing in technology. But now that time is actually there, where innovation is actually crazy, right? Things are happening very fast. And the minute you come up with the idea that actually will change the people behavior, you will find that success is coming very fast. And this is example what we can see now with the buy now, pay later, where finance as a payment option become now the future. And sorry, but this is something which is going to be very challenging even for MasterCard level, right? When the people, now 80% of the people at the checkout, if you ask them, would you like to pay with debit card or a credit card or take buy now, pay later? 80% will say buy now, pay later. Why? Because now you are able to provide the finance at the checkout instantly, very fast. Now, what we are trying to do is to bring the new gateway, payment gateway for finance, where we can create a parallel system completely outside the old payment gateway normal as it is, and provide all the banks and all the finance companies with a new platform where they all connect to all types of retailers, so customer can obtain financing rather than paying with debit card or credit card or cash, which is 80% now of the people find out that this is what they want. They don't want to do it the old way or the credit card way or the... So this is where you can think of how a new product comes in, it changed the behavior of the people they thought actually, which was for 40, 50 years, they were settled, they are there, they know what they want, but suddenly there is something new in the market, people reacting very fast to it and moving from the old way of doing things.
That's a very, very good point about finding the needs even before they look for it, because right now you have so many cultural and social economic experiments happening at the same time. The number of startups, and number of innovation, number of trials are so many that the possibility of such groundbreaking products are very high. But before I come to you, because you mentioned about MasterCards, I want to jump right quick to you here. I also know that MasterCard has its accelerator, and you've been researching, deep diving, figuring out things on the AI machine learning side for many years. Even though those are not necessarily a live product, you have the R&D division and working on it. So what is your answer to him, specifically on these changing experiences?
Yeah, actually, we may think of MasterCard as a card company. Actually, we are a technology company. We are operating in the digital space, in the payment space, but at the end, we are a technology company. I think you talked about buy now, pay later. Just to know, actually, when Apple launched their pay later, program in the US, actually it's powered by MasterCard. So actually, we are in the BNPL space, and we are providing this type of tools, to many of our partners, in order to run this type of, BNPL programs. And as you mentioned, actually, we are talking about blockchain, about AI. AI is something that we have been using at MasterCard since now many years in all our, cybersecurity tools, fraud detection tools. So this is part of our core business. And actually, what we are trying to achieve is how we can make technology works for everyone in order to achieve, the financial inclusion and the digital inclusion. So in Africa, for example, actually, what we're trying to achieve, is to use the power of technology, like mobile payment, in order to include financially hundreds of millions of people into the formal digital economy. MasterCard, we pledged to bring 1 billion people worldwide to the digital economy, by 2025, including 50 million SMEs, because this is the heart of the economy in many of the African markets. So we are in that objective. So, and as you said, in order to achieve that goal, actually, we are partner with fintechs in many space, in the blockchain space, in the BNPL space, and we are trying, to provide many programs for fintechs, through our Accelerate program, in order to provide, dependent on the level of their development, the support that they need in terms of funding, in terms of technology. And at the end, actually, because we try to provide some concrete use cases, to address some real need. When we talk about AI, it's actually maybe a way for us, to provide a more efficient, for example, loan decision making for many companies. When we talk about blockchain, it's providing some concrete use cases now about cross-border remittances for many companies using blockchain technology. Many central banks across the world actually are now introducing what we call the CBDC, kind of central bank digital currencies, and this is live now in many countries. So this is real life examples that technology can be used, and even what technology that we think it's only about some buzzwords, but actually it's providing concrete solutions to some of the use cases that we're trying to address to our partners and end users.
That makes sense. So coming back to the focus on the lifestyle and philosophy and how emerging technologies affect that, to help you get started, I'm going to start with one of my personal problems, and I want you to help solve that for me. I am a digital nomad. I travel around the world, and I hardly use cards, cash. I have never touched them. And for me, I find that blockchain, crypto, and these tools are very, very helpful because unlike figuring out the BRICS currency and all these different challenges, I travel with a single currency and I can go anywhere in the world and get what I want done. So I see that as a lifestyle preference for me, and that meets my lifestyle choices and my philosophical choices of holding control to what I do. So can you comment something around more specifically on things that assist the emerging technologies as focuses on these aspects?
Yeah, I'll go through an example that's not necessarily digital nomad, but related to a lot of what the startups were saying. So migrant workers. So with a lot of our clients, we don't really focus on, oh, let's use the newest technology, you're falling behind, look at all the competitors using the newest technology. We more start with why. So to give you a concrete example, there's a country, a partner we're working with, and for this project, the issue was that a lot of their migrant workers were being scammed by employers promising them to pay them each month, and these migrant workers really can't really speak the language sometimes. They don't know what digital banking is. They're like the underbanked and the unbanked population. They don't know. So the solution we came up with them requires the use of technology to integrate to a lot of government systems, as well as banking, like the Ministry of Manpower, as well as banking services. So eventually there was a solution that came out where there was a a digital kiosk that once the migrant worker was in the system, like they got their visa and they're on the way to go to that country, they can use that kiosk to get a bank account, a SIM card, and their employment pass or their employment work card. And it can all be done digitally. So not necessarily in a digital nomad case, but if you're going to a brand new country, it's good to have one place where you can knock everything out. And this is a win-win for everybody because the migrant worker now has the tools to get paid and not get scammed, so it's a more healthy society for them. And the banks and the partners that work with the SIM card company, as well as the banking services to open bank accounts, also have more clients. And there's a steady number of migrant workers that come in every year, so over time, they get a very steady business as it grows. So I'm not necessarily starting with, okay, let's use the latest technology, but more so, what problem are you solving and why, and how we can leverage the current systems to optimize that for the underbanked or unbanked customers.
I think that's a beautiful point that it's not, the focus is not on the emerging or the most advanced technology, it's about the solution a particular target audience needs. Even though I'm very angry that you never helped me with my problem, I'm going to move on, I'm going to forget about it. Before I come on to you with everything that IBM is working on, I want to pose an interesting question here. With everything that we're talking about here, one-point solutions, combining everything in a super app, the biggest challenge that I see is about data. Data, how is it safe? I just feel scared. What if there's one point of failure and then everything that I worked hard in my life is gone? What is the security aspect around it? And what does it mean to me as a user? If I'm just using these products, I don't know what's happening behind the scenes, and they're depending on great technology providers like the different members here to use it for a layman, explain in a super layman way on what security means to us in this world.
Absolutely. I just have a short presentation that I want to go through. If you guys, the tech guys, if you can run the presentation, thank you. All right. The IBM presentation. Cool. Okay. So this is a very valid question. In the last 10, 12 years, the amount of, or the volume of data that is being transmitted, processed, and so on increased by 4,000 times. It's not like 2 times, it's not 4 times, it's 4,000 times. And then every 39 seconds, these are the stats, somebody evil on the internet is actually trying to steal your information. Could be sensitive information, could be personally identifiable information that you don't want to give access to anybody. And then this number is like actually for big companies, but actually the cost of a data breach, this is mostly on the fintech and health tech, like big companies, is around like $4.3 million. And then this is the immediate loss, but then to recover this, and then again, like to rebuild the brand name and so on, this is probably going to cost you a lot of time and a lot of money. And then there are like a lot of regulatory compliance. We mostly hear about, like, if you're a health tech company, about HIPAA compliance, about the California Act, about the GDPR if you're based in Europe. But they're mostly working with data at rest or at data in transit, not actually data in use or in process. What does that mean? So data at rest, if you like have a spreadsheet with a lot of data on it, it's at rest, you can easily protect it. You can like set a password, done. Data in transit, if you're like sending this data also to someone else, you can set a password, you're good. But if you're, for example, a health tech company that is trying to work with like a hospital, a big hospital, and then you want to cross-collaborate, that's where actually like hackers can jump in and make it hard for you guys. And there is like some new concept. It's not like fairly new, but has been like there for maybe 5 years. It's actually confidential computing. So it's like easy to protect your data while at rest or transit, but in use it's very hard. So that's what IBM launched it. It's called the Confidential Computing Consortium, and then a lot of other companies also are joining. And then again, like there is like many levels of data and with many levels of security. So there is public data, news, for example, a press release, that's fine. Anybody can steal it, that's fine. But then there is internal data. If you're like sending email inside the company, that's a little bit more sensitive. And then there is like confidential data. This is your credit card information. This is your medical record, and so on. And there is like highly sensitive data, which is social security number, your identification number, and so on. In IBM, we're trying to move like from the operational assurance to technical assurance. What does that mean? So in IBM Cloud, for example, the engineers at IBM actually do not have access to your information as a cloud provider. I was in a hotel, I lost my key, I went there and asked for a new key, they gave me one. And IBM HyperProtect, we cannot give you one. It's like only we cannot get access to it. So yeah, to wrap up, data is increasing, and it's very bad if it's like in bad hands or in evil hands. So what we're trying to do with the IBM HyperProtect Accelerator, IBM crypto services, and so on, is actually to protect this data. So like technology is gonna be around, and we're gonna be like the guardians to try to protect your information. So that's it in a nutshell.
Can I get my photo back there?
Sure.
Okay, perfect. That was pretty interesting. That was good. If you can share your thoughts on the security aspect or on the philosophy and lifestyle aspect, that'll be great.
بالتأكيد المحافظة على بيانات الزبائن شيء مهم جدا ويجعل المسؤولية كبيرة جدا على المصارف. لازم المصارف توفر مستوى عالي جدا من الأمن لبيانات زبائنها، وهذا شيء أساسي والزامي للمصارف، سواء من ناحية التزامها مع الزبون ولا من ناحية التشريعات اللي موجودة اللي تفرض على المصارف والمؤسسات المالية حماية بيانات زبائنها، باعتبارها البيانات تعتبر من الأصول الأساسية للمصرف.
Great. Do you want to add something?
Not to answer, but to add, because now we are talking about data, and just to, to give, some numbers on the importance and how huge data is now and how it's impacting, our everyday life. Because actually at the end we are moving from the financial service sector, from open banking to open finance, and now we are talking about open data. So actually data infuses our everyday lives. Actually, it's interfering with, the decision you are making. It's, it infuses the way we behave. Actually, it's every activity we are doing. Actually, it's generated data. And now with the connectivity, every device also is connected and is generated data. Actually, just to know actually that 90% of the data actually has been generated in the last 2 years. So actually in 2 years, we have generated 90% of all data that has been generated, since the beginning. Just to give you how now important, and the data economy now is is a $3 trillion economy. It's huge. It's huge. So to give you an example, like in 1 minute, every single minute of the day, you have like almost 6 million searches happening on Google. You will have like $90 million in purchases happening in cryptocurrency every single minute. This is a huge. So typically, this is why I said at the beginning that we are moving from a digital revolution to data revolution. Actually, data is the new oil. So this is what we say, actually. Data is the new oil, so it's all about data now.
That's a good point on data, and we addressed on the security. But there is one part that is important right now in the current generation, the Gen Zs, it's the new generation. Their focus is more towards the experience. And there are two kinds of experiences here that we could address. One is the digital experience, which could be with the metaverses, and the other is the experience that they go through in the physical world. It could be through something like a 3D printing. I want something and you get it right now, to something that even we had a conversation a few minutes back about going to a place, getting a car, printing a board, going out, paying for it in 20 minutes, which is great. So the experience can be both the digital ones and the physical ones. I'd like to shed some light, starting from yourself, on what is your perspective, very specifically, about the user's experience with the emerging technologies and how it relates to you.
Yeah, actually, it is mostly related with the, attitude of the community as well. For instance, right now, we are talking about as a let's say, buy now, pay later as a new technology, as a new, phenomenon, somehow disrupting, disruptive innovation. But as you know, for instance, as Turkey, buy now, pay later, we are using it, let's say, for almost 20 years. Because installment, a credit card installment is somehow addressing that kind of issue. Why that is the case for Turkey, for instance, it's related with inflation phenomenon. Buy now, pay later, somehow maybe technology is new, but the timing is also important. Why time is important? Because as a global phenomenon right now, after COVID-19, we have faced increasing inflation. After 20 or 30 years of disinflationary environment, we are facing an inflationary environment. So that is somehow changing attitude of consumer side. So technology also somehow changing from that sentiment. So capturing the sentiment of consumer is very important. The most important thing for me, for consumer, capturing the consumer side is regarding with ease of doing transaction, regarding frictionless, regarding accessibility in any time, anywhere. For instance, let's say digital onboarding in Turkey right now, maybe it's not a very, let's say, revolutionary, revolutionary innovation, but the things when we are facing right now, that kind of end-to-end digital digital onboarding, somehow transforming the other behavior of consumer side. So the most important things, because if you are asking for a consumer to go to a branch, physical branch, somehow time losing, actually somehow you have to collect that wet signature, that is an actually effort. So, but once it's coming to a digital onboarding side, you are seeing that these consumer, actually customer, you are actually gaining from digital onboarding. The other pattern of digital customer that is coming from digital onboarding also becoming a digital side. That is very important part for me, because they are somehow living and observing and experiencing the ease of digitalization. So the all part should be on making it easy, making it simple. That is the way.
Perfect. Make it easy, remove the friction, remove the steps. They can sit at their home and be onboarded. That's perfect. That makes sense. Let's go.
Right. The metaverse that you mentioned about the metaverse is a shopping experience. If we want to talk it into not just the gaming and the other, it's just, let's take about the banking usage of that. So it's a shopping experience where you have to come with a similar payment or financing experience to facilitate the process of what they're doing. Similarly, on the real life, the customer experience depends largely on how you present the technology, how you present your solution. So we have, let's say, 100 different fintechs. Why would one succeed compared to all the other hundreds who's doing the same? It could be one click. It will be one additional click or one less click, or your better customer experience. You're presenting your solution in a better way, and that's why your customers or the customer will choose to come to you. Right?
I think that's a very, very, very beautiful focus that the startups should also listen
absolutely, to. Absolutely, and I keep telling this everyone and our team. It could be just one click that makes the success or the failure of the application. If you make that one additional click, people will go to the other app. And I give you two examples very, very, very fast. In Europe, the onboarding, the digital onboarding, has two types been going for the last, let's say, 10 years. Scandinavian, right, who's using an app called Bank ID, where, because I live in Sweden, and I know it's used in Sweden, Norway, Denmark, Lithuania, and all, Sweden, and, Northern Baltic countries. And we have 95% usage of that app. In Sweden last year, 8 billion transaction happens on the Bank ID app with 10 million people. Go to Europe, the UK, which I lived in the UK, France, Germany, they're using the face recognition app, right? Where before COVID, they had 2 to 5% usage. After COVID, it come to 25%. This is a failing app, and I know in Turkey they are using mainly the face recognition. This is a failing technology and it's never gonna pick up. And right, other countries, there are a lot of fintechs coming up with a face, recognition technology. What is amazing, and this is very critical, what we have here in Turkey, we have an app called e-Dawlat app, and I found out about this recently, which is very much like the bank ID, but yet the banks are not using it in the right way. So you could have the technology in your face, staring in your face. I'm telling you, I'm the right technology there, and yet nobody is using it. So there's two different things. There is the experience, and there is how can I use the technology? And I can give you another example in Saudi. In Saudi, in the last 3 years, the government has put so many times through the COVID time, right, to digitalize everything in the country. And now Saudi is actually better than Sweden if you look at the technology in terms of the infrastructure that the government has made it available. So you can take actually what we talked about, the car end-to-end, car financing end-to-end within 20 minutes. Even you can register the car, print a plate, put it on the car and walk out with the car, which you cannot get anywhere in the world, right? For a new car, completely registered within 20 minutes. But yet the banks are not able to cope with the government, right? They are not developing themselves as fast as the infrastructure available now in Saudi. So again, one click can make the difference, and even when the system is available, sometimes we're not using it in the best way. And that's again related to how you look at opportunity, how you look at the system and try to use it in the same way. And unfortunately, not everything is digital, and not what we think is digital is the best digital. And this is one of the biggest problems banks now facing, because you have 1,000 solutions, and then you end up, in many cases, with the worst one, and you think you have digital.
That's
a big
good
problem
part.
in the market.
Thank you for that insight, and I think the part that you mentioned about one click is something that you can extend on to a complete panel on its own, because right now they don't let you do everything in one click. There's a compliance reasons. Even you cannot say I agree to a terms and conditions. First you need to accept the cookies, then you need to go and scroll down and then click on I agree and go to something else. There are challenges that comes with it.
That's fine, as long as you do it in the best in your environment. So when you're competing with 5 apps in the same country, you are the same regulation. I'm not talking about country who's liberal and then they allow you to do anyway, and with a different country. No, in the same country where you're competing, you have to comply, but in many cases you can make it better, right? That making it better is the success factor.
Perfect. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I'm going to piggyback a little bit of what you just said. So there's a couple KPIs in some of our customers, and one of them is how quick can I open a bank account? Whether it's mobile or web service, how quick can I open a bank account? Now, there has to be a compromise between regulation and actually doing it. Like, yes, you are technically able to do one click. That's possible. But is it in regulation with the government? So there's always a compromise between that. Another example, and I'm going back to the digital nomad question you had, is if you want a bank card, before it might have been acceptable, especially with a generation, like now generation, I want it now, I don't want to wait. It used to be acceptable to wait a week for your bank card to come in. Once you have the bank account, it takes a week, and you're like, okay, I just got to live with it. But now, you can offer virtual cards as an option, or even instant card issuance at some kiosks 24/7 whenever you want. You don't have to wait for the bank branch to open. You can just go to this 24-hour kiosk, get your bank card now. And the customer starts spending. So in your case, as being a digital nomad, if you can lessen the clicks, and let's say you're an entrepreneur, you receive different currencies on your virtual bank account, you can have a virtual bank card to start using immediately within 30 minutes of setting up your account.
Perfect. Great. We have just 3 more minutes left, so let's have a 1-minute quick feedback from every one of you as well.
So just like real quick, we've been speaking about like the customer experience and type of customers and so on. Who's the easiest customer for a fintech? Somebody with like a credit history, banked, with a smartphone, and so on and so forth. But what about like a refugee that is a Sudanese refugee, for example, like moving to Egypt? What about like a small merchant unregistered that is in Kenya or in India? Are these left behind? Somehow, yes. And that's why like at Village Capital, we try to encourage or work with companies that create access to these folks. Because this is not like the regular profile that everybody seeks, but at the same time, it's a huge potential. And companies can make a lot of money from them, from these customers, and at the same time, they should not be left behind, and solutions has to be designed specifically for them. So this is a quick note about the customers.
Perfect, thank you.
No, I agree what just has been said in terms of inclusion. I think any solution that comes to the market actually should first, address a concrete or real need in order for it to succeed and to be inclusive, so that how we can bring the most of the underserved people into that solutions, mainly in the financial services. But also, actually, I think we discussed many of the kind of technologies that are happening and are driving, many of the financial services solutions that we see in the market. But also we discussed, some technologies that maybe will come and are now kind of, expanding, and maybe will provide some concrete solutions in the next 2 to 3 years. But actually, we are submerged by many of these buzzwords, blockchain, metaverse. And I think we sometimes actually for financial institutions or fintechs, they don't know what of this technology will succeed or will fly at the end. So, but we don't know. We don't know. Actually, this is why actually what we say is that the best way, we cannot predict what technology will be able to succeed, because as you know, 40% of the idea don't break even, okay? So we cannot predict, which of this technology will succeed. But as we said, actually the best way to predict the future is to create it. So we are seeing many of these technologies are coming and still coming. So actually we need just, to take them, try to, build some concrete use cases, address some customer needs. And then, actually, once it's in the market, try to, as I said, to address and to be the most inclusive possible.
Perfect. What are your thoughts?
يتمحور أي عمل تجاري حول تحقيق والوصول لرضا الزبون عن طريق تحقيق متطلبات هذا الزبون. العمل في المصارف وفي الشركات المالية نفس الشيء، يدور كله حول مدى قدرة المؤسسة على تلبية رغبات الزبون والحصول على رضا الزبون هذا. اليوم قاعدين نشبحوا في أو قاعدين نلاحظوا أن في عدد كبير من الشركات التقنية والشركات الفنتك بدأت تنتبه للسوق المالي وبدأت تحاول تركز عليه مع وجود إمكانيات ضخمة للشركات التقنية وشركات الاتصالات وقدرتها على مواكبة التطور التقني. هذا يخلي المصارف في زاوية ضيقة تستوجب عليها العمل بشكل أكثر احترافي والتزام أكثر بأنها تواكب التطور التكنولوجي باش تقدر تحافظ على زباينها وتحافظ على حصتها السوقية.
That is amazing. Guys, the focus of this panel is not to educate you around the whole emerging technology, but to inspire you with some ideas. We went through a lot of different segments on the lifestyle, on the philosophy, on technology, ease of use, and we had some great ideas like the one click, making it simple, removing all the challenges to the parts of creating it, than just thinking about what is the next best thing, and so on, and the importance of data. So the best thing here to understand about this is pretty much follow the speakers here, learn more about the amazing products that they are innovating, that they're coming up with. There are multiple accelerators here. If that's of interest, you could apply as well. So I hope this panel was very interesting for every one of you, and you had some takeaways that could impact you and your life and business as well. I hope everyone here would continue building, continue creating, and be that emerging leader in creating the emerging technologies for your target market. Thank you so much, guys. It was a great pleasure being here.
Great. A big round of applause for our dear panelists and moderator. It was a very fruitful panel, and thank you for our moderator for moderating the panel perfectly.